Okay, so leaves today.
Mhm.
I will just go over the pictures once that Varsha has shared also, so I can just speak about these.
Mhm. I know it doesn't really concentrate on the leaves as much, but
That's okay.
yeah.
So this would be something that you would typically see when you are at a resort or something,
Mhm.
or basically in the wilderness. How one
Yeah.
can capture an image and how you can then use these to
Mm.
make an illustration of.
Mm.
So if you're making a botanical illustration, then that becomes an illustration where you need a lot of details and accuracy.
Mm.
Otherwise, many of these plants can be used as or the illustration of these plants can be used to decorate a page, to speak about maybe when you're traveling or you're speaking about your trip to the resort. The base of the page can be made
Mm.
leaves. So the amount of detail is limited because you want to recreate a sense of that place only peripherally. No, you're not really speaking about necessarily the flower or writing about that in detail as much as keeping that as an embellishment for the page. This is
Mm.
such a lovely color for hibiscus.
Mm.
I have that one.
Oh yeah,
We
my.
have lots of hibiscus, yellow, red, all colors.
Wow.
White, yeah. If you see the monstera leaf is like this big.
My goodness.
It's just there. And the money plant also. It's bigger
Ah, this
like
leaf
Think
is
about
so
it.
nice. Mm.
3 times my face size.
My
Mm.
goodness. Okay, so
Yes, I have this one. Yeah.
these are
Ah,
the colored leaves that we can try first. And now for this, again, the purpose of making these leaves has to be decided. Very often, this would be maybe you would make a quirky illustration with this. So
Mm.
the whole point of deciding on the purpose is because then you know how much detail you need to put into it.
Mm.
Um, the we often tend to, I guess, miscalculate or mistarget the purpose of watercolor. It's
Mm.
to add joy to your page or to your wall. So when we get too obsessed with the detailing, we forget about the watercolor part of it. Then our colors become dull, our shapes start becoming really restricted. So that's why we need to define what we want at the end of the day. I have a couple of students who feel that unless you draw it as realistic as you see it in a photograph, that picture is not worth it. And in doing that, they have restrained their own exploration, and they know it. So now, little by little, they are allowing to just loosen up. But just a little bit going outside the line is something they can't handle. So when we make these pictures, there is going to be a difference in the shades of color, in the application, where the color sits, and how it spreads, things like that. What we have to try to do is create almost a recall of that particular plant or flower, or maybe a bed of your heliconias or whatever. It's just a recall. If we want to make it very botanically accurate, will take a lot of time, and also in the end result may not be what you want for that page. So today I want to just focus on making these like a, a fun, more or less accurate representation of the plant that we are talking about. So if you see this, and if I show you 6 pictures, you know that okay, this is the picture that she's talking about. So first and foremost, we will just learn to draw these shapes in pencil. And then when we are painting it, you have to let go a little bit of your expectation. Don't expect that it's going to be exactly in a particular form. Some colors are going to run into each other. You have to just tell yourself not to try to correct that all the time. So I'm going to start off with just the sketching of the last 3 leaves. Yeah, we have this leaf. I'm just going to draw this single leaf, not the plant. Here we can draw a clump of leaves. So maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then this one is just a single leaf where we are going to try to recreate this edge, because half of the beauty of this leaf is in that edge.
Even the texture like that leaf has, we have to do that.
Yeah, that will come, but we don't have to draw it. For the drawing bit, we just need to draw the outline and a few details. So for the first leaf, the pink and green leaf, don't draw it too big. Just draw it about this manageable size, maybe about 3 inches or so. It helps to first draw the vein in the center. And then from there, you can draw one side. And then the other side. Break your line over here. Don't try to draw both sides together in one continuous line. Now, lightly mark some of the areas. So this is both the dark and the light green patch. When we start painting, we will know which patch is which. So you don't need to remember that. Also make these little holes in between. So this is reasonably accurate. Make a double line in the middle if you can or want. That can also be painted in. And remember that the striking feature of this leaf is those green marks, and those are in a particular shape. And that shape makes the leaf look three-dimensionally moving forward. So the shapes are the green color stripes are moving outward and upward towards the top of the leaf. Then they move outward and downward, and then they come in almost a V shape towards the bottom. Okay, the next one is, I think these are called crotons, no?
Which are you referring now?
The second one or the second last.
Yeah, yeah. त्याला काय म्हणतात ना, crotons म्हणतात का? हम्म.
In these, we can make they have very peculiar structure, no? They almost have these loop-like lines. At least look at the one on the right. In some places, those loops are completed. In some places, they are just halfway there. As far as possible, only draw the lines that you need. If you don't need to draw certain lines, don't bother. Are you able to draw these structures? You don't need me to instruct this. No, it's pretty basic.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, and the last one can be a little complex. So in order to draw that properly, again, start with the center line and then make the outline of the whole leaf first. The left side is a little rounded, and there's a twist at the tip, and then the right side is much straighter. So first you make this shape, and then you can make the, what are they called? They're called serrations, no?
No idea.
Yeah, these edges I think are called serrated edges.
Serrated edges.
Yeah, but they look like a serrated knife, no? So once you get the idea,
Finally, I can understand one word, serrated. You said knife, so the leaf and all, I don't know anything, the names, nothing.
I remember this from school. Serrated edges and like it non-serrated edges. That's all I remember.
I remember from college because we had those knives.
Knives, no? Yeah. So this is the point where sometimes that whole detailing thing or need for detailing can become in your way. Once you get the idea of how to make those serrations, you don't need to make them exactly the same number as the reference image, no? So you can just look at the shape and try to make them even as best as you can. Then on the right hand side, some of them are pointing upward, and some of them, as you come towards the right, start pointing towards the right. And they are big and small, some are wider than the others. As you come lower, they become thinner and thinner, and then towards the stem, they completely disappear. It becomes plain. That's actually good enough. But what you ought to avoid is just making a random zigzag line. Don't do that. So we are going to be somewhere in between the uh, making it realistic and making it completely casual, somewhere in between that. So now I have identified that the left side has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of veins that go outward first, primarily from the center and the direction that they go in. And from there, they have their own veins stepping outward. So you will notice that in all leaves or plants, there is some kind of internal structure to everything. It's like when you have a finished image of anything, it always looks very impressive and you don't know how it got made. That's how these leaves are. But if you break it down, you will notice all these little details. So this is the veined structure. Then we will draw the colors. So this almost looks like a V-shaped structure between these veins that we have made. And this first it becomes pink and then it becomes dark mauve. We won't make the mauve pattern. We will keep only pink and green, and then the space in between we will make mauve. All right. Ready for the painting? All of these leaves, we are going to be painting some base colors and then painting the deeper tones as a second layer, third layer, and so on. So we will be working almost parallelly with all of them.
I'll just get my lunch.
Yeah.
With this, I drew something else. That's okay.
What?
Me khalsa chunk like I took the
Ah,
last 4 leaves. That's okay.
that's okay.
That's okay.
You're back, Shwani? Okay. As we go along, if you want, you can just note the colors down on the leaves also. You may not, you may feel that you won't need it right now, but it's good to have it. Once in a while, if you feel you want to replicate a color, you can always come back to this. So in watercolor, if you want to make something light, we don't use white. We will always keep it a nice wash. So here we have a light pink color. We would think that we should just take one of these scarlet or crimson and add white to that, but the white is very opaque, and that does not really look as pleasant as you would like it to look. And it also being opaque then diminishes all possibility of layering. So what we want is a color that is slightly pinkish. So you can use mix of scarlet, crimson, and orange. And here we are going to paint the entire leaf with that color, but as a wash, and focus more on the edges where you have the pink. But if a little bit of that color were to go in the green, it's okay.
Scarlet and orange?
Yeah, just a little bit of orange. The orange color gives a little vibrancy to our shades. It doesn't make them orange as much as just takes brings in some vivacious energy to the color. So this is the funny thing about watercolor. It's this is one medium where 1 plus 1 can be anything. You can put together like a red and blue, and depending upon which red and blue you're using, it could be a purple, it could be a dirty brown, anything can happen. So the transparency of the medium allows you to change the nature of the color. Say we take crimson. If we add orange to the crimson, it becomes vibrant, a little closer to scarlet, but not as dull. If we add gamboge to crimson, again it comes closer to scarlet, but again, the crimson has its own vibrancy, so that it becomes like maybe what are those other reds? We have some other interesting reds also in watercolor. So each of these has a different relationship with the crimson. All right, now while this is drying, the crotons can be painted in gamboge, oops, and a little bit of, again, pink along the edges. So we're going to do a wash of gamboge and this same thing, but this time you can make it a little denser. So put the gamboge right through the center and spread it around, but not like a flat paint. So keep it unevenly, unevenly intense. That was what I'm looking for.
So I added more leaves. So should I do all the leaves?
No, no,
Yeah.
just 2, 3.
Okay.
In some places, you can just take a wet brush and spread the existing paint. And now in the case of this leaf, there's very little gamboge and more pink along the edge. So use this and then take some pink from the earlier leaf and insert it like this. Same thing can be inserted along the tips and edges of some of the other leaves as well. So this is something that we can also do wet on wet. Now for the last leaf, I'm making a color sample of gamboge and, lemon yellow and sap green. And I'm going to put a crimson. I suspect if we merge these two colors together, we will get that mauve shade that we want. See, so it's almost like a natural color that's a mix of the green and the crimson. So it may not be as bright as crimson, but this is the point where both the pigments on the leaf naturally are combining to create a color that is denser and slightly purpular. So we can very well go ahead and paint green along this side all the way up to the crimson. And then when you paint the crimson, you can extend the crimson paint over the green. So you get a nice sharp edge of the crimson also, and you get that mauve color as well. So let me just show this to you once. I'm going to start off by painting sap green onto one side. This is a deep sap green. And as I move further outward, to that I'm going to add a mix of sap green and lemon yellow so that the color outside becomes nice and vibrant. Okay, so here's the pure sap green. Because this is a leaf, I am deliberately making my line a little less firm and straight. And we need a nice deep color green over here. So not a wash. Bring it to about halfway distance or a third of the way towards the outside edge. And now you can carefully paint with a mix of lemon yellow and sap green. Both the colors are there in my palette. So this is the green with lemon yellow. And I've taken this as the second color and keeping my brush pointing towards the outside, holding the brush slightly flat, I am tracing the outline of the leaf here. Okay, so I'm going to leave the left side unpainted so we can see the drawing part and the painting part. This is my color chart here, sap green.
We can paint now.
Yes, yes, you can paint now. I'll just write the colors down. Okay, I'm going to try painting the center of this leaf also while this paint is slightly wet. Yeah. And then you just overlay on top of this. And you can do a dotted application. But use a nice thick crimson here. You don't need to add anything else. No burnt umber or any other color that you might think you need. The leaf, the green part can become even lighter green by adding lemon yellow. Mine has remained very dark. And you just draw a dotted line all the way towards the end. Now, in this process, if part of your green leaf is wet and some of the color runs all over the place, let it do that. Because then you can get a very natural texture. And you don't really need to do this very detailed texturing almost manually. It'll just happen automatically.
Mine's got very less red, green now because it ran, everything just became pink.
It became pink?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Have you done both sides or just one side?
One side.
Okay, then you can correct it from the second one.
Should I do the second one also?
No, you can do it later, but now you get the idea, no?
Ah, acha. Okay.
Can I see how much the color has run into too much water?
Let me
Okay.
take off the blur.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
Okay, so
I
there's
did
too much,
wait.
I think there's too much water.
Yeah, I didn't wait
The,
for it to dry.
yeah, either the green or the pink. Which one had too much water?
Green.
Oh, okay.
Maybe both. I don't know.
Hmm.
I think green.
Yeah,
I'll do it again, but not this one.
yeah, do leave this and then maybe
Yeah,
make another whole leaf and paint it.
correct. I think so. It's better.
All right, now moving on to the first leaf over here, which will have dried. Again, it's a matter of just matching those colors. In this case now, I had made this leaf just yesterday for a class. You can make a mix of yellow ochre along with emerald green. This green we hardly ever use because it's got a slightly unnatural tinge to it. But this works very well for the green on our leaf. As usual, make a color sample and see first. So this goes well, a slightly deeper shade than we need for the light green. And to this, if we add cobalt blue, then we will get the darker shade also.
Cobalt. Okay. Cobalt blue is which? Yeah, I always get confused in cerulean and cobalt.
You've not made the color chart, ka? This is cobalt.
Naina.
Okay. This is cobalt and this is,
Okay. Cerulean is the brighter one, right?
yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Without the color chart, I can't remember any of the colors. It's
Even now
impossible.
you can't after 3 years.
Even now, it's like that. It's just like there are some things that I'm just terrible at. Like every time you say some color, I'm like, okay, which one is that? Without the color chart, I cannot survive.
Hmm.
Except maybe cerulean blue. That's that and sap green.
Yeah, because we use so much of it.
Yeah, those are the only two. Maybe burnt umber. Yeah, I think you're right. The ones that we use.
Yeah, but I think one little by little you will start remembering them.
So did you put the cobalt blue in this green that you're using?
No, no.
Okay.
Oh, you haven't. Acha. तरी मैं मतलब
So
मैंने
cobalt
देखा
blue, so I put it to match the color, but I'm not using that color. I'm using the first color.
Okay.
Acha, you are using the lighter shade first, huh?
Yeah. And I'm not painting the light shade all over, though you can do that also. That way, then you get double layers. But you don't really need to. This is a very light shade, and the dark shade is quite dramatic in itself. So let's try it in the front here. Let's put the green also, the light green as well, and the dark green, and see how that looks. Now, you must remember that in the second layer, whatever color you use, it is going to dislodge the first color to some extent. Huh? So you need to move carefully over that space. Don't drag the brush too much. Don't paint unnecessarily over and over and over again. Now I'm adding the second color. And the second thing is that when you add a layer, the under layer will also give some quality to the color on top. Now the holes that we make in the, that you see in the leaf, the pink colored holes, at this stage you can start making them. So my trick over here is to paint in some kind of like a stripy form. So you automatically leave some areas unpainted. So instead of going, firstly, don't go in a direction that is not, I mean, when you have these horizontal-ish shapes, then don't make vertical painting. Vertical strokes. Without those dots, the leaves won't look as pretty. The center vein is a light pink color. So whatever painting you're doing, paint it carefully away from that edge. And if you get a very patchy outcome, that's still fine. So my color keeps running out. And I have to keep making a new shade every time. And each shade is looking different.
Yeah.
But this is the, again, this is the creating a semblance that I was talking about. Don't be too hung up about accuracy. Many times we don't get colors and textures the way we see in photographs. Okay, this one you must have got, na, Shivani? Because it was not wet on wet. On the right side, I'm making this a little watery to spread it evenly. I just want to see how this looks if I make a watery paint out of it. And because it's almost like a wash, I'm not going to be able to make too many of those dots. So remember to do this brush stroke very cleverly. Yeah? Keep it in the angle of the, I guess, the fold of the leaf as we see it. And here I'll add the secondary colors like that. Just a drop of cobalt blue to create the texture. This is what we should be doing in watercolor. Okay, now for the last leaves. Here, multicolored leaves often have any kind of color combination. So you have to really look at each leaf and decide how you want to paint it. And within that also, each section is doing its own thing. This is like, I think this is more like a daycare center for dogs. There's no predicting. You can't have every color sitting disciplined. Everybody wants to do their own thing. So best thing to do is take each individual leaf and paint each section in 2 layers. So you can have one layer of paint that is light. This is just a sap green. And I'm using a thin brush so I don't inadvertently add too much paint. I'm loosely making the shape of green between the leaves as I see it. So the thin brush also helps you to take only as much paint as you need for a small section. Like over here, you have a small section of green, but it's got a little bit of detailing here as well. Now, here's one tip that I just want to give you. When you are painting leaves which have a midriff, mid section, and you want to draw multiples of those, but you also want to draw a separate color for the middle vein, the primary vein, and all these. One would think that it would help to make double lines over here. But instead of making double lines, here's a trick you can use. From one side of each block, so let's say the vein has got 2 sides. It's got a left side and a right side. And each of these veins has got a bottom and a top. So from one section, say all the sections on the right, you leave a little space on the left and on the top of each section. And the same space again from now this time touching the line, because now it's come to the bottom, and leave some space at the top. So by drawing just a single line, you get the idea of where the vein is supposed to be. But when painting, you just carefully dodge that space. So again, I would touch the line on top, go all the way to the end, but leave a little space as I go higher. And then again, make this section green only in a smaller section from the left and from the top of that rectangle. So when you're doing this, in a place like the leaf that we have, the croton, you can see that there is an implied edge to the left and to the right. So all you need to do is bring the color right up till that edge from both sides, and automatically you will get this vein in the center. And also see that it's not just green. In some places, there is an additional gamboge also that enriches the shade. And over here, there's some crimson as well. So I'm going to add extra crimson. So all these leaves have to be painted in this manner, just dots, layers of these dots, one on top of the other, and then almost like negative painting, so that you get the shape of the arches and the veins in the right place. You also paint a little away from the edge because the edges are all blank. They're the base color, either yellow or slightly pinkish. And there are veins sticking out from the U-shaped leaf or part of the leaf as well. Among the colors that we are using over here, you can split between sap green and also a combination of sap and viridian green, which is right next to sap green. So a
Yeah.
little bit of a dark color can be made using viridian. In itself, viridian is a very vibrant color and can look extremely jarring. But in combination with sap green, it brings in a very nice darkness and almost um, like a true darkness for the green without adding cobalt blue. It looks much nicer, I feel, in some places. So with both of you, if you have the color chart from the kit when you bought it, Shivani, you have the color chart, right? You have the names of the colors.
It didn't come with the color chart. I made it.
Oh, okay. That's very strange. So you don't have the Camlin kit?
I do. It didn't come with the color chart.
That's very strange. They put it in as a default. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I never thought. I don't know why. So I had to make one.
Anyway, we all make our color charts because we can't rely on just the names. I'll just show you the color chart, Asha, and I'll send you a
Yeah.
photo.
Yeah.
Lepas pukul 1 saya ingat lagi baik lah. Sebab pukul 12, pukul 1 macam tu ada orang lagi.
That detailing is really nice, Aditi. I did not check that.
काय ते मधल्या पानांचं का?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just dot 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 करायचं.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, this is the color chart.
Yes. Okay.
So,
Great.
so what you should do is take a piece of paper from the same book that you're going to use. आणि त्याच्यावरती you make the same colors ह्याच्यासारखे.
Yes.
I'll send you this so
Yeah.
you know how the color looks and then write the names. And
Right.
also write the name of the kit and what paper you have used. It's just going to be a cartridge paper mostly.
Yeah. Okay.
Because from paper to paper, the color looks
It
different.
changes. Yes. 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 True.
So I just wanted a feedback. I'm going to ask this in every class now. For next year, I wanted to start a batch just for travel illustration. So through the year, I just want to do different types of travel pages. I'll show you what we did. This was for the art quarter, which finished just yesterday. No, today's Friday, the day before. And we made a page on Vienna. It's turned out so nice. And I've been making so many of these travel pages that I was wondering if there could be a whole year of just travel. Because that covers everything. You have buildings, you have birds, food. So all the types of illustration and lettering can be done in that.
I've never done this.
I know. Yeah, batch karuच आपण.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that might be a good idea?
Can we finish this in a class, or it needs 2 classes?
Two. At
2,
least.
na? Yeah, I thought so. With a class, I would be difficult.
No, so we often do this across 2 classes.
Yeah. Okay.
But before that, we have to do a little bit of perspective drawing, a little bit of birds or animals, and then it all comes together.
Then it all comes together. Yeah. True.
So my thought was that next year, from Jan to December, take 12 different countries and make a journal, or actually a journal for the 12 countries.
Okay.
So we can do, it's wonderful to do virtual travel like that. So you do, like the picture that I have made is of what is supposed to be the oldest surviving pub in Vienna. And it was built in 1447 by some Greek travelers. So it also shows about trade between Vienna and Greece for the longest time, not just Greece, the entire Levant. So you have Syria and whatever, all those places. And through all sorts of wars and natural disasters, this pub survived.
Has survived. My God. 1447 is huge.
It's 500 years old. So so outside there is a plaque of this person called Dear Augustine. And I just picked up the picture from Pinterest because it looked very interesting. And I thought this would be a nicer thing to make. If you're going to make a small image of something, you might as well make it very ornate and decorative. And then we had to, of course, we always have to write something about that. So I started doing some research and went into another rabbit hole for half an hour. Ki काय आहे, कुठली आहे जागा. And it turned out that this Augustine was a person named Max Augustine, Marcus Augustine, who was a bagpipe player. He was just like one of those go to this pub, that pub, entertain people. This was in the 1600s. And so he was just like a regular fool of town. But then Vienna, they plague Allah. So everyone, there were lots of deaths, and these pubs, nobody went to pubs because obviously people were told not to hang out in public. So another pandemic. But this guy, he apparently still continued to go to as many pubs as he could to keep people light and help them feel a little less sad. Till a point when he was only one in the pubs and everybody else was just scared or had left town. So at one point one day he got drunk, terribly drunk at this pub, and he fell in the ditch, Rasta, with his bagpipe and all. And the local health service people thought that he has died and died of plague, because that was what was happening around.
Hmm.
They picked him up, put him on a cart with all these bodies that they were carrying, buried him along with the bodies. Yes. So a little while later, when he sobered up, he woke up buried with bodies of people who had died of the plague. And he had to get out. He didn't know how to get out. I don't know whether it was a crypt or whether it was whether
Mask kind of.
yeah, but he was able to retrieve his bagpipe somehow, and he played the bagpipe, and he kept playing. And there was a church nearby, and people who heard that sound found it really weird. Why should a bagpipe be played over here, and why would we hear that sound here? So they followed the sound, and then they opened wherever they'd buried, and they pulled him out alive.
My
And
God.
to top it all, this fellow who had lain with all these dead people with plague didn't get plague. He didn't
He
contract the
still didn't
disease.
get plague.
No, and he lived to a great ripe old age, playing his bagpipes in Vienna.
My God. Now I just want to go to Vienna to find out
Isn't
this
it?
story.
Yeah, it is just
Mad.
fantastic.
I love it.
So there are so many stories that I have come across just through this travel illustration, remotely
Yeah.
sitting and doing Google Travel. It's unbelievable.
Right.
If you have
Yeah.
anything for Amsterdam, let me know.
Interesting, huh?
And
Yeah.
take the stories.
Yeah, we'll be doing that. Amsterdam, I have done 2-3 years ago. That was good. No, in fact, Amsterdam we did when this was pre-pandemic. So send suggestions now, what countries you'd like. Maybe I can have that as an ongoing class on the side, and whenever you feel like, you can just join that class and do that page. So it'll be one country per month, and then we can do one page or multiple pages. That's the thought. I've never done this before as one dedicated class, but I'm thinking now would be a good time.
Because it has all the different.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's got different. I forget what it's called, but like different
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Everything we do in class, we can do in that. But the focus is to make a page of that travel, and you write a little bit about it. I think it'll be great because everyone will then have a travel journal, at least practice travel journal or remote travel journal. So when you are traveling, you'll be able to do a lot more. And everyone travels, even if you go to
And we'll have so many stories at the end of it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll start a new batch. But this
Yeah.
is from Jan, so
Yeah.
I still have time to push this.
Okay.
Cool.
Good. Cool. Really nice.
Okay, so one thing before we finish is I wanted to show you a little bit of brush manipulation also for leaves. These are the leaves that you make very quickly with just brush strokes. Very often when we make a bouquet or a wreath, we want to just add something quickly, and trying to make these very perfect leaves is a nightmare. You shouldn't even bother with that. So in that case, these are the kind of leaves that you can practice. So using a variety of brushes, you can create a nice, dense leaf pattern. And Varsha, for your illustration for that tropical jungle, this might come in handy.
Okay.
Unlike with pencil or pen, when we work with color, especially watercolor, and sometimes even with ink, the brush allows us to make different kinds of lines and strokes. So you will have, if you try to write like the pen, this is the kind of lines you will make. When we are painting also, we are pretty much just doing this. So we are not really flexing the brush as much as it can do. But what a brush can do is it can become fat, and thin in one stroke. So if we were to use this to our advantage, this is how you can start making leaves. So you make the same structure one after the other. And you start making a palm leaf.
Yeah.
You don't need to make each and every individual leaf. You can just make brush strokes and it becomes very easy.
Mm.
So you start off thin, press, and then pull the brush away to a tip.
Mm.
And depending upon what brush you use, all these shapes can be different. If you use a thin brush, you can make a different kind of leaf also.
Yeah, that's nice.
So practice this stroke.
Yeah.
Say now, if you're doing bougainvillea or something, bougainvillea, even flowers can be painted like that. So you have a stem and you make a nice fat leaf like that. So these leaves make for a very nice loose backdrop
Mm.
for flowers that you want to make in more detail. Now, if I want to make a bougainvillea here, I can do pretty much the same thing. So as far as possible, avoid making the shape too stoic. Okay, so do try the brush manipulation strokes as well.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for today. Next week, I'm going to be starting materials. Oh, let's see. Arey, wow, looking very nice.
Then this one.
Can I see hers?
Yes, yes. Let me just pin it for you. Very.
I like the pink.
Sure. No, I can't see. I can't see. Ah, now I can see. Yeah. Oh, nice.
Very nice. I think they're
Very
looking
nice.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you.
Good.
I like
But
that.
I think you needed that first disaster
Bad.
wash.
Yeah.
It's like the nazar utarna of the painting. Now it can't get worse than that. Let's see yours,
This
Varsha. Wow, very nice.
Very nice.
I've yet to do, but yeah.
Yeah, going in the right direction. Wonderful.
Yeah.
But you know what? Taking
I had
a
one.
yeah.
Bull.
Yeah, so what I'm suggesting is make a whole bunch, at least a series of 6 leaves like that. And find a place in your house to just put this up. And look at, keep looking at this as you're moving about the space. Because somewhere I have this belief that much of the learning comes from doing, but there's a small part of learning that comes from observation and perpetual observation. So if you keep your own artwork in front of you and you pass by that artwork 10 times, you don't even have to look at it and study it, but somewhere there is an autocorrect programming that just takes place. So there could be a color correction or there could be a line correction, so that when you see the leaf, you just pass it and you say, maybe that line could have been a little this way or that way. You don't see it. That does not happen with words. But in my own personal experience, I have found that whenever I have put up artwork, there was a time when I used to put my artwork up just because it was looking very pretty. I was also doing a lot of art, but there were some things that just came to me from nowhere, from no experience, other than the fact that I was in the presence of my work, and there was subconscious evaluation.
Yeah.
Try it. Let's see. It's just my theory. It might be.
Yeah, I understand what you say though. Yeah.
Okay. You wanted to say something, Harsha? You want to show?
Yeah, I wanted to show this.
Ah.
This is something during COVID, you had shown these strokes or something. So I
Yeah.
made a surface pattern out of it. But I
Nice.
remember doing those, and when I saw those leaves right now, which you showed me.
Yeah.
So it's actually that COVID thing. I think you were doing some sessions that time.
Yeah.
That time I had seen those strokes, and that's how I managed to do it.
Very nice. Good. I've
Yeah.
forgotten now what all I had done during the COVID.
Some
Oh.
abstracts though. Yeah. But yeah, some while back. And your bougainvillea, which I did not do, but I know that you did bougainvillea a lot.
That was my first class.
Oh, was
Yeah.
it? Oh.
Yeah.
So
remember.
I had these, I don't know if you can see.
Ah. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So actually
so
kept
pretty.
them in the book. Yeah, I kept them in the book and I pasted as is rather than painting.
Oh my
Wonderful.
gosh.
Wonderful. Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good
That
idea.
also helped. I thought I can't do watercolors. I won't attempt it.
I still remember it was my first class. I was terrible at it. The bougainvillea
Yeah.
was
So even
like-
today, I don't know how Aditi does it. I think we have to work on it rather than because the kind of amount of water that your brush holds
Yeah.
and still the freshness, and I don't know, it will come to me someday.
It just comes. I have no idea when I started making it like that. It just happened one day, but
Yeah.
not without me doing terrible art till that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
You have
You have
to
to
just
keep.
put it
That is so
No,
true.
she's not saying the truth.
Oh, wow.
Because I know her from school days. So
Oh, really?
she was in my sister's class and she was a brilliant artist. So all this is
Yeah,
not true.
she is.
Like born
But I'm
talented.
sure,
So,
yeah, which even I know Aditi long back, and her work was amazing. Her illustrations were absolutely amazing. But I've seen Aditi really go, I mean, take different
but I want to
routes
see
and
a bad art you've done. I've never seen no. There's no
I'll
such
hunt
thing.
it out. I
Huh.
should hunt it out. Yes.
I don't believe there's such a thing.
I'll do it.
we would
I'll-
like to see a bad art journal, is it?
I will pull out.
Never.
It's only
Because
fair.
that
I
will
have to
be-
show it.
That, probably all the artists within us would say, okay, she was there.
Yes.
There is hope.
Like once in a while, maybe she makes a mistake. Maybe.
Yes. I will. This is a good idea. I should pull out my older stuff to show you.
Yes, older stuff. And not the pretty ones at all.
Yes. I'm sure I've hidden it somewhere where I don't know. It's probably at my father's house.
Haunted, probably.
But I found a picture that I had made in the 6th or the 7th standard. That time I was in school in Pune, and I'd made a line art picture of from an illustration in the back of one of these Diwali anko. So it was some Ram Lakshman Sita say Rathavarti, and there was some ghodi and whatnot. And I remember that picture had turned out so good. I couldn't believe it that I had done it. And I keep saying this in class often, that one day you don't realize it, you do something that just blows your mind, and you stop making art because you don't know how you manage that. And there is no guarantee that the next painting you're going to do is going to be the same quality.
The same.
More often than not, it is not. And then you feel so disheartened. And then a long time goes where you say, okay, I'm not going to do anything. I have peaked. That's the end. I am never going to do art again as good as that any
That
case.
is so true. That is so true.
That picture my parents then pasted on some board or something, and they've kept it since my 7th standard. So now this is what, like 35, 40 years that painting
Ah,
that my
we
parents.
need to see that. We need to see
Yeah,
that.
I'll show you that. But I remember that was one transition, and then there was a flower that I made for a friend that I sent. That was one transition. So you go through these peaks. You come up, and then there's a plateau for a long time, and you have to just keep racing through that plateau, and then one day you're just like elevated, like a lift
Again.
comes in, and you're at the next level. So that I'll show you the plateaus.
What did
Oh,
I say? Achieve
yeah.
what when you do all that meditation and all? Nirvana. It's like that all.
Yeah. Something like that. You just rise up.
I
Okay.
know.
Chalo, so
Okay,
I will tell
thanks.
you next week onwards, since the new month starts, I'm going to be doing different materials. So I'm definitely be going to do glass, transparencies and glass. If there's anything that you specifically want, you can just put it on the group, because I'm going to be allowing each group to decide what they want to do. And then, of course, the videos will be available for everyone. So since we have 4 batches, we can do more than just 4 different materials. Glass, I'm going to do in every class, every batch, because that everybody needs to know. The rest of the options are, we have metal, so metallic effects,
Marble.
something
Can
like
you do
gold, marble. I did marble in the kids class and it was wonderful. Then you have even things like textiles, baskets, wood. Wood can be very daunting. So just think about different kinds of things that you think you might find.
Stone, for that matter, stone or sand.
Yeah, stone, sand, we can do that. Little pebbles, rocks, there's lots of those that can be done. So just put a list of things, and if you find reference images, that's even better, makes my life easier. And then we'll do those one by one.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, chalo, have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you.
Same to you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye.